Hello buddies and brosifs, Sakura Stardust here, hoping you're all having the loveliest of lovely days wherever you are.
そして私はクパちゃんです。
And today, my friends, today is a very special day because I have some Mario media of the super variety. Is this jacket too loud? I want it to look aesthetic, but I think it's just kinda, not doing it. But to explain a little further, today we're going to be talking about Mario media that's not from any kind of video game, any traditional video game, and stuff. We're going to be talking about stuff from all over the world. And you know what? The biggest thing they all have in common is they're really weird and really obscure. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and let me tell you all about the weird Mario stuff I found on the internet at 2 a.m. Maybe. Let's get started. The very first piece of obscure and weird Mario media we are going to be talking about right here today is kind of lost media too, so any of you lost media aficionados out there might get a kick out of this. Actually, it's definitely lost media because it is partially lost, so it's lost media. Super Mario no Kotsu Anzen, or Super Mario Traffic Safety, is a toy-produced public service announcement based on Super Mario Bros. 3 and released in 1989. This Japan-only animation was used in schools across Japan. It was released in two formats, both VHS and 16mm film. Another interesting little tidbit, according to the Mario Wiki, is that this film is still used in Japanese schools today. Now, this is where the lost media part comes in, because this film is available and on record at certain libraries, but the catch is it's only available for viewing within schools and to students. In other words, this film is not available for the public to see, and therefore is not available online. Because of this weird situation, there is very little known about the film itself, its exact release date, and other little tidbits about it. Apparently, also according to the Super Mario Wiki, certain Japanese libraries do have the 16mm format available for rental. Again, you have to be a school to rent this, or some kind of teacher, not available to the general public. This film has been documented to have been shown in recent years. On May 27th of 2017, there was a screening of the 16mm copy of the film at the Sonic City Film and Animation Center in Omiya, Japan. There are tidbits of information available regarding the plot available online though. For example, we do know this film revolves around Super Mario Bros. 3, and that it opens with children in an apartment, a young boy and his sister, playing Super Mario Bros. 3. The boy apparently is supposed to meet his mother at work or something, and then the sister leaves without him because he's just sitting there playing Super Mario Bros. 3. Because of this, the children get separated, the mother panics, and the boy almost gets hit by a truck, but is saved by the boy himself, Mario. Basically, simple don't talk to strangers, traffic safety kind of stuff aimed at kids. Because this is media that is well documented and available in libraries, I don't fear that it will be lost to time. It's just a really weird situation where people can't really see it themselves, and I'm sure we'll see it someday. This anime film, released in 1986, may very well be the most accurate Mario anime out there when considering all the other anime variants that have been created up to this point. And that is really saying a lot, considering this animated film is really not accurate at all to the games and the series canon that the Mario franchise strictly follows today. You'll see what I mean when we get into the other anime on this list. They stray even further from the Mario canon. Also, take note that I said the most accurate Mario anime. If I'm counting the American cartoons, then I may have to actually say the Super Show cartoons and its sequels are actually the most accurate to the games. Again, that's really saying a lot. And the title for this anime is
Super Mario Bros. ピーチ姫救出大作戦.
This anime film, that I'm not saying the full name of again, though it does translate to Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach, was made with the intention of promoting Super Mario Bros. 2. The game that's known as the Lost Levels outside of Japan, rather than the Super Mario Bros. 2 that's well known in the United States and elsewhere. This film had a very limited release in theaters and was later released to VHS tape, though the VHS tapes distributed were only intended to be rental tapes provided the video rental establishments. This meant that you could not buy a copy of this film and that it was not produced in large quantities. The endgame of this being that the VHS copies of this film are very hard to find and very collectible. So much so that the great mission to save Princess Peach was once lost media. It no longer is lost media, however, as the film was found and made available to watch online in 2007. If you want to hear about Mario media that still remains lost, check out my video series on the lost media of Japan and pay no mind to that shameless plug. So, how does Super Mario Bros., the great mission to rescue Princess Peach, gosh that's still a mouthful, differ from the actual games? In a few ways, actually. The first of these ways being the character's design. Peach herself actually looks very close to her modern day design and has that distinct 80s anime vibe in this film. I really like her design. In addition, Mario is kinda similar to his designs in the games too. Kinda. The biggest difference with character designs mainly lies with Luigi and the Toads. The Toads are just doing their own thing over here, and Luigi looks more similar to Mario. These differences are understandable though, especially considering they only had the 8-bit sprites and some early concept art to go off of. In that regard, it's impressive. As far as the actual plot goes, there are quite a few differences. Beginning with Peach jumping out of Mario's television and Bowser doing the same thing in order to kidnap Peach. The actual plot of this film is to find power-up items, 3 to be exact, and then at the end Mario kinda twirls Bowser around just like he does in Mario 64, 10 years later, and then everything's cool. Oh, and there's also this blue dog who turns out to be a prince that is Peach's fiancé. Does that work for you guys as a plot summary? Yeah? Okay, cool. Really though, if you're interested in watching this, it's available on YouTube, it's up there, very easy to find, and while it is very different and not very faithful to Mario as it's known today, it's a really interesting piece of Mario history when you consider that it's so early on in Mario's conception and existence as a video game character, and in that, I think that any Mario fan should definitely check this out. It is different, but it's very entertaining. Ever heard of Bandai's Tabo video game system? No? Well, I'm not surprised. Super Mario World, Mario to Yoshi no Boken Land, not to be confused with Jojo no Kimio na Boken, please laugh at my funny joke, is a video game for that Tabo system. Now, I use the term video game pretty loosely here because essentially the Tabo system is kind of an interactive VHS tape thing with a controller. The games themselves are literal VHS tapes. To make an attempt to explain that a little better to you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and use Wikipedia, and essentially the Tabo is an interactive VHS console game system released in Japan by Bandai in 1988. Titles released include a wide variety of known franchises such as Super Mario World, Dragon Ball Z, and many more. The system was also released in the US as the See-N-Say video phone by Mattel in 1989. So going back to the Mario game, Super Mario World Mario to Yoshi no Boken Land translates to Super Mario World Mario and Yoshi's Adventure Land. It's a video game but also an anime, and it's pretty interesting. So the game, or anime, begins in the Mushroom Kingdom, and Mario and Luigi receive a postcard from Princess Peach and Yoshi. After that, they take an airplane over to where they are, and a lot of stuff happens, and it's kind of a game. The video breaks the fourth wall a bit and asks the viewer questions. For example, it asks you what will hatch from the egg they find, being 1, a Yoshi, 2, a Koopa Troopa, 3, Cheep Cheep, or 4, a Rex. So, I mean, it has a pretty in-depth plot, and you can see it on YouTube. It's available to watch there. Definitely not lost. It's pretty interesting, and I don't think it's something a lot of Mario fans are aware of, and it's kind of its own little, like, video, which is cool. Why do I keep saying? But yeah, Super Mario World, Mario to Yoshi no Boken Land, pretty interesting. Seems pretty rare when I looked online to see these Terebiko consoles and the VHS tapes themselves. Kind of a collector's item, so pretty cool. Highly recommend checking it out. And with that, we're gonna move on over back to Japan to talk about another weird Mario anime. The Amada anime series, Super Mario Bros., which has a VHS cover that kinda looks like Mario holding a gun, is a series of 3 OVA videos released in 1989 that revolve around fairy tales retold with Mario characters. Each VHS tape is its own thing, and the series contains Super Mario Momotaro, Super Mario Ishun Boshi, and Super Mario Shirayuki Hime. Those first 2 are retellings of Japanese folk tales, while the third one, Shirayuki Hime, basically means white hair, which is a retelling of Snow White. These guys are pretty well documented, you can watch them online. There's, well, more than enough of information of them if you look them up on the Super Mario Wiki. A couple notable details though, all these VHS tapes were only released in Japan, which makes sense for the Japanese folktales and all that. The animation's pretty good, as well as the art style. I do like Peach's old design, that kind of classic Mario design where Shigeru Miyamoto wanted her to have that kind of cat-like eye aesthetic. That you can definitely see here in this adaptation, this anime, and I like it a lot. It also does some pretty creative stuff with the Super Mario lore. There's different Mario enemies playing certain characters within these folktales. They have a little fun with it, you can definitely see that. One particular example I thought was pretty cute is how Peach plays Snow White and the 7 dwarfs are literally just toads. It's really cute, I'm not gonna lie. I will admit, they kind of tend to drag on a little bit, but I got a kick out of them. I thought they were pretty enjoyable, pretty unique, and I think any Mario fan would really enjoy watching them. So, switching gears a little bit and going into some American Mario media, more specifically, some American Lost Mario media. So that's cool. King Koopa's Cool Cartoons is kind of a hot item on the Lost Media Wiki forums right now. And in other places that are looking for lost media, I noticed. Particularly on the Lost Media forums, that specific post regarding it did have a lot of progress made, kind of. It seems like they're on the right track to actually finding this thing. But what is this thing, you may ask? I haven't explained yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So, King Koopa's Cool Cartoons is this weird little live-action, local children's television show broadcast. It was based in Southern California. It only aired during the holiday season of 1989 to 1990, and it was basically a live-action show of King Koopa, or rather Bowser as he was known in the 80s in the American adaptations of the Mario cartoon. He hosted this show with kids, there was a studio audience, and he just kind of played old vintage cartoons like Felix the Cat kind of era stuff. It's really weird and interesting, and I kind of dig it. It's also mildly terrifying. But yeah, you might be wondering how something like this came to be. Was Nintendo involved in any way? Who thought of this? Just general questions of why. So, like I said, the show was produced for a local station in Southern California, specifically Fox television station KTTV-11 in Los Angeles. And Jerry Pass was the person in charge of producing it. He developed and rolled out the Fox Kids Club, and Deke Animation City, in association with Nintendo, was okay with it. Despite its short run, it did have 2 seasons and 60 full episodes. The show starred actors Chris Collins and Patrick Pinney, and according to the sources I'm looking at, there's not really any differentiation of who played who, or if they both played King Koopa, which I'm assuming that's probably the case since one says 1989 and the other says 1990, respectively. But other than the cartoon segments, there were other segments where children would chant Koopa, Koopa, Koopa at the beginning of the show, the children in the audience. They'd be given gifts and prizes throughout the show as well, and it was just a good time. Another kind of interesting portion of the show was Koopa actually had a dog. It was called Ratso, and it was kind of like a dog, weasel, rat thing, which is cool. Ratso apparently also had his own special theater where kids could win prizes. And another little bit of information here, in 1990 the program was actually nominated for an award. This was the Best Youth Program for the Los Angeles Local Emmy Awards. So that's all there really is to know about King Koopa's cool cartoons. It is unfortunate that this is lost, as there's a lot of Mario fans out there today, or people who actually watched the show as a kid in the late 80s to 1990, that probably would like to see this again. Not all is lost, however, as the opening is available on YouTube. There's also a 49-second clip of a Thanksgiving-themed episode, and you're probably looking at that bad boy right now on the screen. So, there are claims that this show was cancelled due to poor reception, which is believable, but on the Lost Media Wiki, there's also this one claim, according to a user called Forest of Illusion, saying the show was cancelled due to a letter from an angry child being sent in, and Koopa's response being, "Okay, you can say all you want about me, but I know where you live." I don't know if that's real, but if it is, like, I hope it's not. And I don't really know what to think about it, but I kind of want to laugh at it. But yeah, in short, hopefully we'll find most of the show, or hopefully all of it at some point. I don't know if it's been documented well. It's a public access local television show. It seemed to have a good budget and production quality stuffs, but whether or not it was, like, kept properly, who knows. I'd like to see more of it though. It looks like a trip. Next, I'm coming at you with yet another Mario safety video, and this one has to do with fire safety. Super Mario no Shobotai, which translates to Super Mario Fire Brigade, is very similar to Mario Kotsu Anzen in that it's an educational film that was made for children in order to instruct them on essential safety procedures. And Shobotai, like I said, centers on fire safety. These safety films were both done by Toei, and because of their limited release, they've never been sold to the general public. It's also unconfirmed if these two short films are the only two in the Mario Toei safety film series. It is possible there were more made at some point, and that people just aren't aware they exist. With that said, Super Mario no Shobotai is very much less lost than Kotsu Anzen and is readily available online. From what I can tell, it involves different children and characters than the traffic safety variant, though the art style remains the same. The story is straight to the point, as it begins with the two children playing none other than The Legend of Zelda on the Famicom Disk System. And as the children are playing The Legend of Zelda on the Famicom Disk System, the mother leaves and asks the older sister of the children to run errands for her. And this is not what ends up happening, however, as the two children end up setting fireworks off in an empty lot. And of course, Mario and Luigi are also nearby working on a Jeep because... America? And see the danger the kids put themselves in due to the fireworks starting a small fire. Mayro and Luigi come to the rescue, stop the fire, and give the kids a big old warning on what could have happened if they didn't stop the fire. But this is simply foreshadowing to a much bigger event, as later on a very big fire starts after an earthquake. The Mario Brothers once again save the day and everything's good. Also, the kids learned a very valuable lesson and all that good stuff. Nothing exceptionally groundbreaking in terms of story, though it is effective in that it teaches kids how to have necessary skills if emergencies do happen. Aside from that, from my personal observation regarding these Toei educational films, it seems that Mario and Luigi were depicted in a very similar way to popular children's characters in Japan such as Doraemon and Anpanman. What I mean by this is that Mario kinda got this friendly children's anime character treatment, and even got a cutesy and memorable theme song. All in all, I really wish I had Mario safety videos shown at my school as a kid. These educational shorts are pretty well made in terms of animation, and would have definitely got the attention of a younger me. Next, we got a little video called Mario ABC no Utao video, which basically means Mario ABC song video. I can't really figure out when this one came out or where it was even distributed. It's really just one of these things that just appeared on YouTube, and that's really all I can figure out about it. I mean, there isn't even a year or anything available about this video from what I can find personally. Not even a year or anything in the credits. But yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically Mario stamped onto an educational video that teaches Japanese children their ABCs, as well as some basic phrases in English, as well as the Japanese phrases underneath. It's interesting, it's also obscure, but it's also pretty simple and to the point content-wise. That's really it. You may have, at some point, seen this GIF. And if you haven't, then you should really follow the Mario Out of Context Twitter because you're missing out on some really quality content. This very odd reenactment is a scene from Mario Icecapades, a live performance, on ice of course, that aired on ABC in December of 1989. The show, like everything else in this video, is bizarre and very, very loosely based on the games. And it seems that the late 80s and early 90s was kinda like an anything goes Wild West for Mario content, because you would never see anything like Mario Icecapades air on a major television network these days. At least I hope not. I mean, just compare the costumes in this show to the costumes in the Universal Nintendo World Park that just opened in Japan. And speaking of Mario costumes and weird stuff like that, you should definitely check out this video after watching this one on weird Mario costumes. Mario Icecapades seemed to be highly advertised and even had celebrities like Alyssa Milano and Jason Bateman opening for the show itself, the two being very popular actors at the time, especially with the demographic the show appealed to, being kids and teens. The plot of Super Mario Icecapades is a plot. I mean, it has a beginning, middle, and end, but that doesn't make it any less surreal. It begins with the actors I mentioned previously playing Legend of Zelda, of course, because you know, Legend of Zelda, as Jason Bateman explains all the Zelda stuff and all the things there is to know about Zelda stuff to Alyssa Milano, who has not played the clearly shown Legend of Zelda video game for some reason. And from there, the story just keeps getting weirder and weirder. The story is pretty all over the place. I mean, there's standard Mario fare, standard Mario story, but at the same time, it's really all over the place. In short, Mario doesn't sound like Mario, Peach definitely does not sound like Peach, and Bowser is some dude, and things explode. But please, don't let that poor description of mine deter you from watching this though. It is very entertaining, and Chad Tronick actually has an even more entertaining video of himself reacting to it. So, to begin, there really isn't much to go off with this one. It's pretty short and sweet, but also very obscure. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Super Mario Challenge. Back in 1990, before kids these days were calling the most simple, mundane of actions like breathing a hashtag challenge on the TikTok music whatevers, broadcasted only in the United Kingdom, the show was fairly simple. In each episode, two kids would compete against each other in either Super Mario Bros. Or Super Mario Bros. 3. The challenges would involve the in-game tasks of collecting the most coins or racing each other across a level. There was a live studio audience of kids, and to me it kinda gives off early 90s Nickelodeon vibes, kinda like Double Dare and Legend of the Hidden Temple. And the show was hosted by Mario himself, though the guy looks nothing like Mario. The actor who portrayed Mario was American-born actor John Lenahan, who is a fairly well-known illusionist in the United Kingdom. The Super Mario Challenge only ran for 1 year, until 1991, and seems to be an odd Mario show meant to cater to Mario fans of the United Kingdom. And that's all there really is to know about Super Mario Challenge, and it is fairly entertaining if you guys want to check it out yourself. So now, my friends, we've come to the final obscure Mario show thing in this video, and that being Mario Kirby Masterpiece, an educational video released in 1993. This one is sort of a collaboration between Super Mario and Kirby. While the two don't interact at all in the video itself, they do have their own dedicated shorts. Kirby's design is based on his early Kirby's Adventure design, and he is also voiced. The person voicing Kirby is Mayumi Tanaka, who is the voice actor for Luffy in One Piece, as well as many other well-known characters. Mario's design and power-ups reflect his Super Mario Land 2 design. The Mario segment also features Wario, and his appearance in this predates the first Wario Land game, where he was playable. This makes Wario's appearance in Mario Kirby Masterpiece significant as possibly his first animated appearance in general. The shorts themselves are educational in nature and not at all elaborate as far as the story goes. For that matter, the segments are mainly intended to teach children to read, as the text on screen throughout the video is primarily in hiragana with a small amount of highlighted simple kanji characters scattered throughout. The actual stories are really just lighthearted and comedic narratives. The entire video, only being 18 minutes in length, feels more like a narrated storybook than anything else. And honestly, I kinda wish I knew about this back when I was learning basic kanji, because it actually seems like it would be pretty helpful to those who are just starting to learn kanji and reading Japanese texts in general. So, if any of you guys out there are learning how to speak Japanese, or more specifically learning how to read Japanese, then I do highly recommend this video. And that is it, everyone! Hopefully you enjoyed listening and hearing and learning about weird Mario stuff as much as I do. And if you do like Mario content, particularly stuff that I just talked about, or just Mario, Nintendo, whatever stuff in general, then feel free to subscribe. You will get a lot more where that came from. I do Nintendo news updates, I talk about lost stuff, lost Nintendo stuff. It's a good time. At least I hope it's a good time. So yeah, I am making a video regarding lost Nintendo media at some point soon, and if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But yeah, with all that said, leave a subscribe in the comment like section of the like comment bell, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now!